All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most complex and, frankly, disturbing scandals of our time, the Epstein Files. We're going to cut through the noise and give you a clear breakdown of the facts, the timeline, and the massive questions that are still hanging in the air, all based on the documents that have brought this whole dark story into the light. So let's start where the darkest secrets were kept. We're talking about a private island paradise in the Caribbean, a place that was supposed to be heaven on earth. But for so many, it was the exact opposite. And this really shows you the two faces of Little St. James Island. On the surface, you've got this luxury getaway, beautiful beaches, famous guests flying in and out. But behind that facade, there was a living hell. The locals even had a nickname for it, Pedophile Island. It was, for all intents and purposes, a gilded prison for young girls who were trafficked there, with literally no way to escape. And the man who owned this island? Jeffrey Epstein. His rise is, well, it's pretty baffling. He goes from being a math teacher in the 80s to suddenly a financial advisor to billionaires. Before you know it, he's a multimillionaire himself, with a contact list that included some of the most powerful people in the world. We're talking Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and even British royalty like Prince Andrew. So you have to wonder, how did this whole empire of abuse finally get exposed? And maybe the more important question is, how did the justice system, in the beginning, fail so badly? You know, this entire, massive, sprawling case, it all started to unravel because of the incredible courage of just one person. A 14-year-old girl, along with her parents, walked into a police station in Florida. She reported that she'd been taken to a rich man's mansion for a massage and was molested. And that man was Jeffrey Epstein. And what police found out pretty quickly was that this was no isolated incident. No, they had stumbled onto a horrifyingly sophisticated pyramid scheme. Epstein's network would find a vulnerable girl, offer her money for these so-called massages, and then they'd pay her extra to recruit her own friends into the same nightmare. The scale of this was just staggering. As investigators started following the trail from one victim to the next, the number just kept growing. In just the first few months, local police in Palm Beach had already identified more than 36 victims, all of them underage. And this quote from one of the victims, it's just gut-wrenching. She says, "I just let them know that I'm vulnerable and I'm their perfect type." It shows you just how calculated this whole operation was. They weren't just finding girls, they were actively hunting for the ones they knew they could easily exploit. So you've got an FBI investigation underway, you have dozens of confirmed victims, you're thinking, okay, this guy's going away for life, right? Well, wrong. Epstein got just 18 months. And get this, he was even allowed to leave the jail 6 days a week for work release. It's unbelievable. So how on earth was a sentence that light even possible? Well, it all came down to a secret deal. A non-prosecution agreement negotiated by a federal attorney named Alexander Acosta. This deal gave Epstein and anyone involved with him total immunity from all federal charges. But the most outrageous part? It was done in secret. The victims, the very people at the heart of the case, were never even told it existed. And just like that, for almost 10 years, the story just went away. Epstein served a short sentence and went right back to his life of luxury. But thankfully, one journalist just refused to let this incredible injustice be swept under the rug. And that journalist's name is Julie K. Brown. Working for the Miami Herald, she spent years, literally years, digging into this case, finding the victims who had been ignored, and shining a massive spotlight on how the justice system had failed them. And just look at this timeline. It really tells the story. You see Epstein getting out of jail in 2009, and then almost a decade of silence. It wasn't until November 2018 when Brown published her explosive Perversion of Justice series that the public outrage became so huge that federal prosecutors in New York had no choice but to act. So it finally looked like it was happening. A real trial, a real moment of reckoning seemed to be just around the corner. But that's when this already insane story took its most shocking and controversial turn yet. While he was in a federal jail in Manhattan awaiting trial on these new sex trafficking charges, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead. He would never have to face a jury, and it looked like all of his secrets might have died right there with him. Now, the official ruling was suicide, but almost nobody believed it. The circumstances were just too strange, the timing too convenient. And this phrase, Epstein didn't kill himself,
It just exploded overnight. It became this viral rallying cry for a public that was deeply, deeply suspicious of the official story.
His death immediately turned into a political weapon. You had opponents on both sides pointing fingers at each other. Donald Trump even retweeted a conspiracy theory that implicated Bill Clinton. That slogan became more than just a meme. It was a symbol for everyone who felt that the powerful play by a different set of rules, and that we weren't being told the truth.
All of this intense public pressure, all the conspiracies swirling around his death, it led to something that almost never happens: a real bipartisan push in Congress to unseal the mountain of secret documents related to this case. And when some of those documents were finally made public, wow, they were a bombshell. They were filled with references to all sorts of high-profile people. For instance, there were details about Donald Trump flying on Epstein's plane, and even an FBI tip about a past assault allegation. But he was far from the only one mentioned. You see names of other famous guests on flight logs, like Prince Andrew, and even the physicist Stephen Hawking. But, and this is the crucial part, the files we got to see were nowhere near the full story. Page after page was covered in black ink. Entire names, dates, whole paragraphs just blacked out. They were hiding just as much as they were revealing. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter today. What's been released is just the tip of the iceberg. According to reports, there are still over 1 million. That's right, over 1 million documents connected to the Epstein case that are sealed, completely hidden from public view. So here's the bottom line. While we know so much more than we did back in 2005, the complete story of Jeffrey Epstein, his powerful network, and all of his victims is still largely a secret, locked away in court files. And that leaves us all with the biggest question there is: what secrets and whose names are still hidden in those files?